everyone out there in podcast land. This is episode number 266 of eBay the Right Way. Today's date is April 22nd, 2026, and my guest is Donna in Florida. Announcements. Wow, what a response to my Happy Mail Club. I am blown away. I didn't realize so many people were ready for something happy in their mailbox. I'm putting together the first mailing now, and I'm starting off with an angel in action story, something that really happened to my family many years ago, and we know without a doubt an angel was involved. And I still get chills just thinking about it. Anyway, remember to sign up for my Happy Mail Club by the end of April for the May mailing. You can find information about the club by Googling Suzanne's Happy Mail Club, and you'll see the YouTube video about it right at the top. Or feel free to reach out to me by email or Facebook Messenger, and I will send you the link. Okay, let's visit with Donna now.
Hello, listeners. I have a superstar from the Money Making Mondays with us today. I had to get Donna on to find out about what's going on in her house. So, how are you doing this morning?
I'm great, Suzanne. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for agreeing. So, let's start off with where you are and what got you started selling on eBay.
Okay. I live in Central Florida. I'm about 42 miles north of Orlando.
Oh, are you in the Villages?
No.
Okay.
No, but I wish I was, because there are some great estate sales over there.
I keep hearing that. Yes, I hear that.
And I'm about 17 miles west of Daytona Beach.
Okay.
So I'm in a town, well, I wouldn't say town, I would say city of Deltona, Florida.
Okay. Okay. So my mom lived in Port St. Lucie for a while.
Okay, yes.
During her retirement before she passed in 23. And she was born and raised in Tampa.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah.
So are you familiar with Tampa at all?
I'm familiar with Tampa. Yes. I have a younger brother that lives over in that area. And
Okay.
The Crystal River area, Tampa,
Yes,
St.
yes.
Pete. Oh, yes. Beautiful, beautiful West Coast beaches over there.
Okay. So my connection, my mom's claim to fame was she was Queen of Gasparilla in 1961.
Oh, my goodness.
So
Yes.
the Tampa people will know what that is. It's a
yes, they
pirate
will.
festival, and my grandfather was very involved in that on Ye Mystic Crew, and we had the Gasparilla cookbooks growing up. So
yeah,
that's my connection to Florida.
I think they say Ybor City rules.
Oh, Ybor City. Yeah, their Cuban sandwiches are amazing.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So always about the food with me. Anyway, I hijacked your thoughts. So back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you are in Central Florida, and what got you started selling on eBay, and when was that?
Well, I joined eBay in 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been an eBayer for a long time now. But I didn't really sign up to sell. I signed up to buy. I was an original buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And what got me started was I had ran into an old friend at the post office. And I hadn't seen her in years. So in our conversation of catching up, I noticed she had all these boxes she was going to be posting. And I'm like, hey, what have you been up to? She's like, oh, well, I've been selling on eBay and I'm here to ship my stuff. And I'm like, what? eBay? What's that? And she's like, oh, it's this online site. And back then, I think computers had really just kind of come out. We had just had a home computer for maybe a year or so, and online shopping was kind of a novelty. And so I'm like, well, what's the deal with this? I mean, is it like, what is it? And she's like, well, you buy and sell. You can sell whatever. She goes, I go around to yard sales and I pick up stuff and I resell it just to make some extra money. And I'm like, yard sales, people are buying that stuff online? Like, yeah, she wouldn't believe what people buy. The older, the better. And I'm like, because she was into antiques. Well, I'll check it out. So later on, I checked it out and I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. And then I started seeing things on there that I liked: home decor, children's clothing. And so I started buying. And my husband's like, this is not going to turn into one of those online shopping QVC situations.
Your husband was thinking, this is not going to end well. This is just a new way to do home shopping network.
Yes, exactly. And he's like, let's put the brakes on that. And, so I'm like, well, there's just so much stuff to choose from. So, that was kind of my introduction to eBay. And then I got to thinking, what I'm buying, I could easily be selling. I have so much stuff in this house. I have children that have outgrown clothing, shoes. I like to redecorate for seasons, so I have extra pictures. And at that time, Thomas Kincaid was the big deal. Thought, I have all this Thomas Kincaid stuff that I'm tired of. And at one time, I collected birdhouses, and I got tired of those. And I thought, well, maybe I should start selling to kind of give me the money to buy. And my husband's like, well, I'll go for that. If you want to, sell some stuff to make your own money, to buy some more stuff, I'm cool with that.
So your husband saw this as a self-supporting habit.
Exactly. And I like to craft. So, I have a little bit of an expense there. And he's like, you're into all these things, which I want to support you in, but you're going to have to find a way to support your little habits. And I'm like, okay, I'm cool with that.
Okay. So what did you start selling?
Well, the first things I started selling were my kids' clothing, outgrown clothing, shoes, nice jackets. At that age, they grow fast, so things don't really wear out. And I was getting some really decent money. I mean, I wasn't getting rich by any means, but I was making, a good profit on the shoes, their church style clothing, the things that they were outgrowing, the little suits for Easter. Then I kind of dabbled into selling my home decor product. And then I was into scrapbooking big time.
Ooh.
So I was close to my heart and Stampin' Up. And so, I was selling things as I was getting tired of them. And then I started going to yard sales. And I thought, my friend's doing it. And I thought, well, I was following her store and checking out everything she was selling. And I thought, well, I can do that. So I was going to yard sales, but for some reason, I just wasn't picking up the kinds of things that people wanted. I was having more success selling the stuff that I already had at home. The stuff that I had bought, enjoyed, and then wanted to get rid of. So I thought, instead of, I could just redo my house over and over and over by, enjoying something for a while, selling it, and getting something new.
Was this a light bulb moment or just kind of a realization over time? Wait a minute. I've got ready-made inventory right here. Like, I'm Dorothy with the ruby slippers. I've had the power the whole time.
That's it. Exactly. I thought, why am I, dragging these kids out to these yard sales, which they hated going to begin with? They're like, not again. No, not again.
And you're like, well, but I'll get you a donut afterwards. Or you bribe them with whatever. You can pick 3 things from each one we go to.
Exactly. And they'd be asleep in the back seat, or they just want to go home and watch cartoons on a Saturday morning. And so I
Mhm.
thought, instead of, the hassle of them, being so, dissatisfied and mopey, I'll just sell what I have around here first.
Yeah, who wants to take a grumpy kid out on Saturday morning?
No,
My
no
kids were
one.
not into it either. They're like, but it's going to be so hot and we're going to be thirsty and we don't like it.
Yeah. And then, a couple of hours into it, they're like, are we ready to go home yet? Are you ready to go home? Are we going home now?
And you're
And I'm
like,
like,
no,
no.
we have 8 more to go to.
Exactly. And back then, you used to map them out. I used to sit with
Yes.
my newspaper on Friday nights, and I'd map out the best, routes to take. And they're like, "Oh, Mom's got the paper out. We know what's going to happen tomorrow."
Right.
Oh,
So you kind of quit doing the yard sales and just focused on your own stuff.
I did. I did. And of course, I was working part-time, so my time was limited, and plus my children were small. So I just kind of had to kind of source what I had in the house. Every now and then, I would find something out at a yard sale, maybe a mom and pop thrift shop. But I just found that I had so much here that I could just recycle, that I thought, I'm just going to, stop running around and bringing all this stuff in the house when I already have it here. And then something happened. A friend of mine, her and her husband owned a dry cleaners back when dry cleaners were big. Hardly anyone uses them anymore, but they used to sell things that people didn't pick up, right? They wouldn't come back to get them. And so they would sell them. They would have, like, a yard sale of sorts. And I got into clothing because I found some really nice things at their sale. Leather jackets, beautiful dresses, men's dress shirts, all good quality. That was getting me good money. And I thought, this is like little effort. I'm not paying that much for this stuff, but I'm selling it for some pretty good prices. And it was when I found early on, I found an Alexander McQueen little black dress that someone did not pick up. And I can't imagine why you would not pick up something like this, because I can't even imagine what it must have cost new. I think I paid $15 for it, $400. And that was when it all took a different turn, and I was hooked completely.
The dry cleaner, did they have actual sales like a yard sale, or did you approach them privately and say, I'm looking to buy your left behind stuff?
No, they used to have community sales, and they used to have them like once a quarter. They would just get so much that people wouldn't pick up. And they also had, in addition to their dry cleaners, they had a leather cleaning. That was a whole separate process.
Right.
And people wouldn't pick up their leather goods, their suedes, their leathers. And so you could pick up some really nice leather jackets. And back then, Stetson was a big deal. I think it might still be.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a really nice suede Stetson men's jacket, like a rancher style jacket that had Sherpa around the collar.
Mm-hmm.
That sold for $200, and I think I paid 30 for it.
Oh, yeah.
So I just thought, this is great. This is great. I'll just
And
do this.
you got to wonder, who are these people that are leaving behind these expensive items? Like, what happened? Did they get sick and pass away? Did they have to move unexpectedly? Like, why would someone leave something that expensive behind? But I ran into that too. on the thrift store side, when I was shopping, things with dry cleaning tags, and there would be a whole bunch of them from the same cleaner. So
Mm-hmm.
these did not have a sale. They just donated what was left. I think it's very smart to sell off the leave behinds because,
Mm-hmm.
they're a small business. They're an entrepreneur. They're looking to make money any way they can. But I guess the hassle of having a sale, advertising it, dealing with it, getting extra people to help that day, whatever it might be, it's sometimes the greatest ideas, the logistics are a little much sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but yeah, I would find things. I found a 4-ply cashmere sweater one time. I think I've only found 2 or 3 in my entire reselling career, but that is some primo stuff made in Italy. I think it
Oh my
was
goodness.
Nello Cucinelli. That's a very high-end Italian brand. And so I did approach a few of these dry cleaners that, their names on the tag on the item in the thrift store. And I would go there and say, hey, what do you do with your leave behind items? And they were not interested in selling it to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a great idea if you maybe personally know the cleaner or
Yes.
relationship or something. Sometimes entrepreneurs don't, get the stars in their eyes about every idea. They just say like, oh, that's going to be extra work, or I don't want to do it, or too much to keep up with, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard this several times that can definitely
Mm-hmm.
work. So good for you for going that route, because again, if it ends up in the thrift store, it's been manhandled through the whole process and put in a bin, and 8 people have touched it and dealt with it and put it out there. But at the cleaner, it's clean and
Exactly.
it's had one owner and perfect to resell.
Exactly. And I mean, it would come to me sometimes in those plastic bags with those cheap hangers that they put them on, And I'm like, this is great. This is great. So that lasted, for a while until, eventually their business went out of business because dry cleaning just kind of went by the wayside. So that just kind of led me down another path. I just started like going to thrift stores and then I kind of got away from eBay, which the beauty of eBay is you can come back to it. You can leave, you can come back. I mean, you can pick up right where you left off, and that makes it so perfect.
And we hear that a lot on this podcast. Life happens, you have to step away, but all the work you've done, it adds up over time. And if you take a break, that doesn't cancel out all the work you did up to that point. It's still there. You have your account, you have your feedback, you have your history, you have your knowledge. So, and we don't like to have to step away because eBay is so fun.
It is, it's extremely fun. That's it. Life does take a turn sometimes and you have to step away, but you can always pick right back up. And that's what I've done. I've done that several times throughout the years when I needed extra money for kids' band or sports or maybe vacations or my crafty habits or whatever, I've picked right back up where I left off.
Driving is a big one as your kids are growing up because they get into the driving age, and now all the states require these lessons. And well, back in the day, an older sibling taught us how to drive.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
it. That was it. Well, that's how it was in my family. But then you get into insurance and a car, and that gets expensive. Little kids are a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Teenagers are a lot of expense.
That's exactly right. And we always try to teach our kids, that they needed to work for some of the things that they wanted. I mean,
Right.
they weren't handed cars, they were not handed, everything. They had to work for these things. But I mean, we helped them. We certainly helped them.
Right.
And it was things like that always brought me back to eBay for the extra money.
Well, and with the teens, it's of course you want them to contribute and understand how to be a responsible citizen, and life just doesn't hand you things. You don't get stuff just because you're breathing, but you want to help them. You kind of want to help them launch. And it
That's
does
it.
get, especially boys and shoes. Oh my gosh, the expense of putting shoes on boys age 11 to 16. It's like they outgrow them in a week.
That's it. That's it. And and then those things, when they're not used to the point of trashed, you can resell those.
Exactly.
And so I thought, yeah, instant inventory.
Right. Okay, so back to your journey. Do you mind sharing what kinds of life events came up where you had to step away from eBay?
Well, my mother, for one, she was diagnosed with severe dementia. And so she needed to come and live with us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kept her here at home for as long as we possibly could until, it was just not an option anymore. The kids were in school, my husband was working, I was working, and, she was at home alone. It wasn't until, she would start trying to cook for herself or take showers during the day when we weren't here. That's when it started getting to where we knew that we couldn't give her the kind of care that she needed.
You sound like the poster child for the sandwich generation. You're trying to
Yes,
take care of everybody. Yeah. And
that's
that is
it.
a lot of my audience is our age and
Yes.
experiencing these same things. And in fact, I've asked a few to come on and they said, I'd love to, but I'm a caregiver for my parent and I have no idea what my day is going to be like. So I just can't commit.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was trying. There were times whenever I thought I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. It's hard enough watching your parent turn into somebody that they're not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I couldn't believe, some of the things that we were experiencing with her, but the mind is a powerful thing. They go through these stages, they go through, just forgetful, then they go through these to where they're scared of everything,
Mm-hmm.
and then they become extremely angry at everything, and then they become very childlike with temper tantrums. We went through the whole gamut with her.
Mm-hmm.
And so that took all of our time. As a family, that took everything we had. And so that was one life experience. And that took us away, or that took me away from eBay or anything like that for several years, several years. And then it it was probably about 5, yeah, 5 years ago. I retired. I was fortunate enough to be able to retire. And I thought, I want to do something with myself. I can't just retire and then, you can only clean your house, so so much. I mean, I've got everything spotless in here. I mean, what else can I clean? I've got to find something to do. And I thought, oh, eBay. I'll get into that full time now. And my husband's like, you know what? That's a good idea. And as a matter of fact, I mean, I'm not interested in selling on eBay, he says, but you know what? I really think I would like to start dabbling in selling motorcycle parts. And I'm like, hey, that's because he's retired as well. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, let's do it. You do your thing, I'll do my thing, and we'll see who does the best. We'll make a little competition out of it. And so that's kind of how we've been doing it. Some days he sells a whole lot more than I do, and sometimes I sell a whole lot more than he does. But it's been fun.
What led you to your son's video games?
Oh, yes, exactly. Well, last year, it was July, my son passed away unexpectedly.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yes. He suffered from a pulmonary embolism.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and we lost him on July 13th.
I'm so
He was,
sorry.
oh, thank you. He was a few weeks shy of his 35th birthday. And so he has been an avid collector of all these things since he was a child. I mean, we're talking when video games started becoming popular.
Mhm.
8, 10 years old, this kid has been collecting this stuff. And so we acquired all of his things. I mean, we had to move them all here. And he has an extensive collection, not just games, figurines, books, interactive computer parts, games, movies, just a collection over his lifetime of things that he enjoyed. He was always a big fan of the Japanese, I think it's called anime, manga.
Manga, like the
Manga.
books. Mhm.
Yes, a big fan of those. Of course, every video game you could ever imagine, from every system you could ever imagine that's ever come out. He had all of those, all of the little figurines and those Funko Pop collectible dolls,
Mhm.
just all of that stuff. And so when we brought all of his things here, I at first I couldn't just get right into it. It took me a while. It took me a while. I thought to myself, what am I going to do with all this stuff? I mean, first of all, I know nothing about it. Absolutely nothing about it. I wouldn't even be able to hook in one of these game consoles that he owns. I have no idea what to do with any of it. And it was so overwhelming because we had so much of it. So I sat and I thought, what would Dylan want me to do with these things? What would he want me to do? And my son was very loving, very kind-hearted. He loved to gift things to people. He was always shopping for his friends' birthdays. And I thought, I bet he would want this collection to go to someone that treasured it as much as he did. He spent years collecting it, everything in the box, everything on display, some things under lights. He had a whole room in his home dedicated to it. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll see if any of his friends want it. And so I had some of his friends come over, his closest friends, and I allowed them to pick some things that they wanted, as a remembrance of him. And his best buddy said, why don't you sell this stuff? I think Dylan would like that. He would like that. I'm like, I don't know. It just seems so weird, to be.
Or I've talked to a lot of people this has happened to a loved one, and it does take them a while to decide it's okay. It's not disrespecting him. It's not dishonoring him. It's not forgetting him. It's rehoming these things in a way that they will be loved and appreciated. And, as if he was alive and he just decided he wanted to, get rid of his collection or whatever, it would be the same. But you're exactly right. It takes you a while to be able to let go because it's a part of him.
That's it. I would sit in that room we put it all in. Actually, we put it all back into his bedroom, his original bedroom here at home. We just put it all in there. And my husband wasn't able to go into that room for a couple of months. He couldn't even go in there. He wanted the door kept shut. And I would go in there and I would just sit around and I would look at all the things that he had. And it would make me sad, but more so it would make me, I would remember funny things that Dylan would say, or I would remember he'd show me this and I remember when he showed me that he bought when he bought that, or I remember him talking about that. So when his buddy said, maybe you should, sell this, I thought, I like you said, I don't want to be disrespectful to his memory, but I think Dylan would like this stuff to go to someone who would treasure it. And so my husband and I talked about it, and my husband said, you know, this stuff is worth some money. This stuff is worth some money. Some of this stuff is old. I mean, vintage. He's collected this stuff since he's been 8, 9, 10 years old.
That you had a Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
That's pretty, that's very collectible, and those are hard to find, and those are high dollar. And I was like,
Yes.
what in the world? How does she have
Yes.
all this?
Yes. And it's like, and that's just a tip of the iceberg, I'm telling you. So my husband said, this stuff is very collectible. I mean, he knows no more about this stuff than I do. We're in our 60s and he's close to 70. You're talking to two people who have no knowledge of this stuff. But we've been quick learners. We have been quick learners. And my husband said, the people that are going to be buying this stuff are going to be treasuring it just as Dylan did. They're not going to be buying this stuff and paying this kind of money for it as a game to play with or to take out of the package. These are collectors just like he was a collector. You have to look at it like this. Because, that was another thing that worried me was someone was going to get it and they were going to tear it up or take it out of the package or, I didn't want that to happen. And my husband said, that's not going to happen. The people that are going to pay $100 for something that's a little toy about 6 inches tall, they're going to put that on a shelf and display that just as Dylan did. So you have no worries there. And Dylan would want somebody just like him to have these things. And I'm like, I think you're right. I think you're right. Okay, I'll do it. I'm going to list a few things and I'm going to see how I feel about it. And if it bothers me too much, then I'll stop and we'll have a regroup. And so I listed, I guess, about 10 of his items. And I mean, I couldn't believe it. They were flying out of here for the prices I was asking. And I did research. And like I said, I know nothing about this stuff. So I was using Google Lens and I was using ChatGPT and I was talking to his friends and I was contacting everybody I could possibly contact about these games and what's the special thing about this game and what's it worth and how old is this one and what system does this one go with and and I got all the information, all this knowledge, took copious amounts of notes and started listing this stuff. And I was so surprised. And my husband's like, are you kidding me? Somebody's paying $250 for that little toy? And I'm like, believe it or not, they surely did. And they didn't even send me an offer. They just bought it. And I'm like, this is a blessing. It's a blessing. Not only am I able to pass Dylan's love along to someone who is looking for this particular item to finish their collection, but it's also helping us work through this grief and heal. And, grief is different for everyone, and I understand that. But this has been so liberating. I feel so close to Dylan when I'm handling these things.
What I was just going to say was every time you sell one of his items, that's a little piece of him that's going out into the world to bring joy to someone else. And it takes a while to see it like that.
But, yes, it did. It took me from July of last year when he passed to January to be able to even deal with it at all. I simply thought this is sacrilegious. I can't do anything with these things. And it wasn't until, we had to sit down, my husband and I, and Dylan's friends, and we said, no, this is what Dylan would want. This is what he would want. He would enjoy this. He would enjoy somebody getting that one little piece that they needed to complete their collection. And Dylan had it and they wanted it. And he was able to do it. And then my sister-in-law reminded me, she said, Dylan was an organ donor And I'm like, yes, he was. Not only did he gave the gift of life to someone else in addition to what you're doing with his things. You know, he gave the gift of sight to someone. Because his eyes were, they were able to be used. And it wasn't until I got the certificate from the Cornea Institute after his passing that it finally clicked for me that I am doing the right thing. I am doing the right thing. And I have bad days. There are days when I'm sitting with his things and I say, I'm going to list 10 things today. But then I'll get melancholy. Something will happen, a memory will pop in, and I can't do any more work. I'll get sad.
You pick up that one thing and it just triggers memories and emotions, and you're not expecting it. It's just a thing.
It's it.
I've helped people clean out when they've lost a loved one, and that's the hardest part. Is some days are fine and you just blow through it, and then other days you can't do a single thing because one object that was special to that person is triggering. And but that's what grief is. You don't know when it's going to hit you, how it's going to hit you, and you're resilient. You just keep going.
That's it, and I just always tell myself, just calm down and carry on. Tomorrow will be a new day. We'll see what tomorrow brings. And then there are some days when I am on a roll and I can list 10 items, no problem. And I'm in there digging around looking for more. So, I just take it day by day. And my husband, it's helping him. I think men don't really, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but sometimes I feel men do not express their feelings the way we do as women. Maybe it's because, they have to be stronger. They have to hide their emotions. And, my husband's generation, he's 68 years old. That's even more of an issue.
Right.
So
Emotions were seen as weakness.
That's it. And so with that, it's helped him. He seems to be a little more willing to help, a little more willing to look at these things of Dylan's, a little more willing to cheer me on when I pack something up. He's getting excited now when I'm excited for something that's sold. And so it's really helping him. Yes. And there for a while, I was very worried for him because he was expressing no emotion. He was expressing nothing. And I thought, oh, wow, but this has really helped. It's helped both of us.
Well, and I think the way you're doing it slowly, a little bit at a time, is beneficial. Maybe some people feel like they just need to pack everything up and donate it and get it out. But this way, you're grieving along with it, but it's a little bit a day. And every time you post an item, sell an item, I just feel like your son is smiling down on you, like, way to go, mom. You're working through it, and
Yep.
that may be a little cheesy, but I believe in all that stuff. And, there's some God winks in there, like you're going to sell something, or maybe you already have, and you get a message from the buyer. Oh, I've been looking for this forever. Thank you so much for posting it. I'm so excited. Or I'm going to give it to so-and-so as a gift. This person's been looking for it. And so it's this whole chain reaction of joy and happiness that you're creating by doing this.
That's exactly it. And that I have received messages like that. Yes, I have. I have received messages like, this is awesome. This is the piece I was looking for. This completes my collection. I've even had people say, do you have any more? And I'm like, oh, yes, I have lots more. And then, people ask me, where did you get this stuff? And, I don't go into a whole big old explanation of where I got it. but I do, give him a little bit of history of it was my son's and he's now passed, and I'll get the loveliest messages back. Oh, we will play this game in memory of your son. It's in good hands. You know, thank you for selling this. We're so excited, and your son's memory will carry on. And it's been heartwarming. It really has been.
That it sounds like it. And I didn't know any of this. For the listeners, I didn't know any of this was going on. I just saw you selling these games. And so what a backstory. Can you talk about some of the ones that sold and what they sold for?
Let's see. I sold it's a little Funko Pop collectible doll. I'm calling them dolls, but I'm sure they're not dolls. They're little figurines.
Did you post that on the group?
Yes,
I did see that.
$259
Yes,
I sold
and
that
I was
for.
like, well, she's into Funko Pop too. This lady's got it going on.
Yes, and the Funko Pop, I had no idea what these were. I just thought they were like little dolls. I didn't
They're
know
like
how to.
little they're like the size of bobbleheads, aren't they? But they got
Yes,
these big old heads.
yes, they've got big heads, and they kind of coordinate with games, like the little. Well, I guess they make them for all sorts of things. I mean, I've seen them online for like television shows. Like I
Right.
think
They have a Friends line. They're
yes,
celebrity oriented, they're cartoon characters, they're Disney stuff. It's any kind of character somebody might know.
exactly. But what Dylan had was everything was tied into a video game of some sort of
Mhm.
either a manga figure, an anime, a video game character. And so I did comps on this little Funko Pop head that I had, and he was part of, I think it was called the video game's called One Piece, which is I guess it's a whole series of these games. And so when I did the comps, I thought this can't be right. This little doll is not worth over $200. That's impossible. So I got to looking, and I was doing Google searches. I was looking on Funko Pop's website, and I learned the term vaulted. Vaulted is no longer in production, highly collectible.
Like limited edition, but now we have a fancier word.
Yeah, it's called vaulted. And
Oh, like it's
so,
in the vault,
like in the vault, like
it's never
they've
going to be
stopped
made again.
production and it's in the
Right.
vault. So there's only like what's out there is out there. That's it.
Okay.
And of course, they sell for all different ranges, like, new in box, new open box, out of box, used. I mean, there's all
Yeah,
different.
it's like doll collecting or coins or stamps, like record albums are graded kind of. It's all about
Yes,
the packaging and has it ever been opened and does it have shelfware and all of that. Yeah.
that's it. That's exactly it. And so, of course, this little character, he was new in the box, sealed, never been removed, therefore never played with. He was just been on display. And he was worth he was getting anywhere from 225 to 275 on eBay. And I'm like, oh no, this cannot be. So I listed him for 259.98. I like doing those weird numbers. And I had him listed, I think, a couple of days, and he sold just like that. And I'm like, full price. And I'm like, no way. No way. I'm like, I'm onto something here with these.
Oh, yeah.
And then I just felt Dylan come over me and say, good job, Mom. Keep going.
Well, do you have any idea what he paid for these things?
Yes, because some of the original price tags are still on these games. And originally it was $14.99 at GameStop. Now, can you imagine? $14.99. And I think this particular little character was from 2007, maybe. So, got some age on him. But The box was pristine. He obviously was pristine. And the person that bought it was a collector for sure. Because I can't imagine. Now, personally, I wouldn't pay $260 for one of these little things, but somebody did. And that just goes to show collectors are buying these. People that liked and collected them just like my son did, that's who's buying these things. So that gave me that extra oomph to just keep going.
That's a realization I've come to with anything discontinued, limited edition, not made anymore, vintage, MCM, whatever. Like, why are they paying this? And I don't care because I love that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I love
exactly.
those buyers that put, it's worth it to them. And that's all that matters is it's worth it to them. So you just thank the universe for sending you that item and sending you that buyer, and glad that they're happy. And you don't have to answer this, but I was wondering, are you earmarking that eBay money for anything in particular from his items?
No, not for anything in particular, but I am setting the money aside. Because I want to know exactly how much all of his items bring in. Mix it up with like family finances.
Maybe after a while, you go on a cruise, or you go on a vacation, or do something fun for you and your husband, or not. Just put it in the family coffer and go from there.
Yeah, the main thing right now is because I haven't really given it that much thought, other than I just want to know, just from a curiosity standpoint, how much he actually has, how much all of this collection brings in over when it's done, when it's said and done. And of course, routinely I sell video games. Let's see, Nintendo Wii, which is, this is old. This is an old game, old console. These games are selling routinely for anywhere from 40 to 60 bucks, easy. And then, I have like the Sony PlayStation games. He had 2 or 3 different Sony PlayStation units. So those are routinely selling anywhere from 35 to 60 to 100. Just depends. And so I'm just going to keep at it. I'm just going to keep at it. I'm going to keep honoring Dylan in this manner. And, I enjoy it. I've been connecting with my son on a different level. Even though he's not here, I'm still able to connect with him. And it just brings me joy, contentment, sometimes sadness, but overall, I know I made the right decision.
He's still here in a way.
Yeah,
and
he
you're,
is.
You're going to get those God winks and those signs that he's right there with you.
That's it. So I'm just going to keep pushing forward, and some days may be good, some days may be bad, some days may be in the middle, but I'm just going to take them as they come.
Well, I sure appreciate you being so open and sharing that. We never know what kind of struggles people are having, and especially on Facebook, where you only show people what you want them to see. But
That's it.
This is not an uncommon story. There have been other people on this podcast that have lost their children, grown children, and you just never know what somebody's struggling with. So I appreciate you opening up about that. And what a great way to honor his memory, rehoming all these special items to collectors that appreciate them.
Exactly.
That's very commendable. And it, like you said, it keeps you busy. It keeps you engaged, because I think loneliness and boredom contributes to grief. You're doing something with your time and your mental focus, and that's important to get through this. And you really never get through grief. It just sort of changes over time.
That's it. And my son he was the class clown. He was the kid that always wanted to make everybody laugh and smile. He was the jokester. And to think, just sitting around his stuff and being sad, unhappy. He wouldn't want that. He wouldn't want that for any of us. I know he wouldn't because I know his personality. And so I know doing this is the best way we can honor him. And and truly believe that he's happy that we're doing it.
Wonderful. Great. Well, what are you up to for the rest of the afternoon?
Well, I'm going to talk my husband into taking me for lunch. And then after lunch, I'm going to come home and I'm going to list a few items. And I think I might take a nap.
Oh, that is the most luxurious treat of working at home or being retired. Is I just love it. I'm tired. I'm gonna go lay down.
Oh, I know. I love naps. I
And
love
then
a
you wake
good
up.
nap.
Some people are like, oh, I can't sleep during the day. And I'm like, well, I just don't think you've ever tried.
Oh, I can.
You just lay down and let yourself relax. You've got your white noise on. You wake up refreshed. And I call it a second shift. So my nap is usually between 2 and 4. And then I get up and do some more stuff and then have dinner and maybe do a little bit more after that. And I like to be busy. I like to be productive. So
yeah, that's me
you
too.
do need,
that's exactly.
Einstein took naps. Thomas Edison took naps. So I'm going by that. And if it works for you, do it. But hey, we charge our phones. We got to charge ourselves too. So
that's right.
Anyway, well, it has just been delightful talking with you. And thank you again for sharing your story. And we're going to watch for more of Dylan's things on the Facebook group. He's got some interesting items in his collection.
He sure does. And there's a lot more to come.
Good. Well, we'll watch for that. Well, thanks again. And you have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, Suzanne. You as well.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Donna, for sharing that very personal story with us. Next week, my guest is Scott, who specializes in rare and unusual collectibles. He is one to learn from, so make sure you tune in for that episode. Thank you all for supporting this podcast and listening each week. I'm sending you happy vibes and positive thoughts for your eBay business and in life. Bye for now.